That's a direct order. Do it now.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, January the 15th, 2026. We're in a brand new year. We thank God for that. I'm here with a few of my friends. We got D Scoon, we got AC, we got David Canal, we got Tyrone, we got Will, we got Mark, we got Rich, we got Cheech, Will, William Herrera, we got Derek, we got Jim, and we have Jerry. Um, Melba was with us, but she got to take care of some business. And Quiet Storm is at a Martin Luther King celebration, which we'll recognize that in a few minutes. At this time, we're going to turn it over to D for our introduction and our moment of silence. All right, all right. I'm going to ask that Rich will give us I'm going to ask Chief give us our disclaimer and Rich give us our statement of purpose.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Before we get started, we want to go over a couple of things. First, we want to let you know that the comments made by members of Roll Call are the opinions of each individual. They're not intended to be any type of legal advice, suggestion, or recommendations. Remember that the laws change from village to village, state to state, city to city. So please check with a local attorney or your local police department for any legal advice. Also, in order to spark our conversations, we do display videos and photographs, some of which may be graphic in nature. These are not intended to offend anybody. Um, if we are going to have one that is graphic, one of the members of our panel will let you know so that you can turn away or not watch it. These videos are not the property of Roll Call. We get them from social media like YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook, all that good stuff. So you do have access to it just like we do. Also, we'd like to let you know that the language used by our members is very spontaneous. It is uncensored. Again, it is not intended to offend anybody. Please do not take offense to it. You will see that sometimes we do not agree on some things, and we might go back and forth, but we don't take it personal at the end of the day, and we hope you don't either. If you have any questions, please post them on the chat, and a member will try to get to it and answer it, or even if you just have a suggestion or a statement, please put it on there, and we will read it out. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Cheech. Yeah, we are Roll Call Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. We're a pro-law enforcement group. We're for equitable policing. We're against racism, and Black and Brown Lives Matter. Thank you.
Thank you both, Cheech and Rich, for the disclaimer and a statement of purpose. Let me start by saying today, happy Martin Luther King birthday. I don't care what this government say, how they're going to try to erase Dr. King's birthday in Juneteenth. We're going to continue to celebrate it and continue to recognize it and continue to announce it every opportunity we get. Amen. Amen. Let me say, congratulations, to one of our very own who became a grandfather finally. Cheech is a grandfather, y'all. Look how excited he is. It's a good thing. It's a good thing, and enjoy it, Cheech. And we're praying for your loved ones, especially your grandson. God bless you.
Thank you.
I know we said it before, but I gotta say it again. Happy birthday to Will Quick. His birthday was on January the 11th. Will turned 41 or 42. I'm just messing around. I'm just throwing some stuff out. Will celebrated his birthday, and we thank God for him. We had what they call the D9. These are the Black Letter fraternities and sororities that had Founders Day. We want to start off with the greatest fraternity ever, which is Kappa Alpha Psi. That was January the 5th. And then on January the 9th, Phi Beta Sigma celebrated their Founders Day. And then right after that, my wife and Jerry, Delta Sigma Theta, celebrated their Founders Day on January the 13th. And on today, Alpha Kappa Alpha celebrates their Founders Day today. I just want to say all these organizations are community service oriented organizations that serve our communities, and we thank God for each of them.
And Don, my mom's birthday is today also.
Oh, no way!
Oh, my
Well,
mom
happy
turned
birthday
my mom
to
turned
Miss.
86 today, bro.
Excellent.
God bless him.
Man, that's
Beautiful.
listen.
It's a blessing.
Be happy. Enjoy your mom, Ty. Enjoy her.
I'm going right there as soon as we're done. I'm going right to our house and jump all on her.
Well, tell her that we said.
I
Tell her
definitely
we
will.
said happy
Most
birthday.
definitely.
I definitely will,
Tell
no doubt.
that we said happy birthday.
She knows most of y'all.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you,
yeah.
Mark's her favorite though.
Well, you know,
And
Mark's everybody's favorite.
and she's my mother. I'm just saying.
Let me see. Make sure I didn't forget anybody. Oh, and keep my mother in your prayers. My
Yes.
mother is still in the hospital. She's been there since January 1st. She's still in there, and we're hoping she'll be coming out tomorrow and getting some rehab at home. Because my mother's like, she does not want to go to a rehab facility. And tell you the truth, I don't really want her to go there either. The only reason I would want to go there, because I know there'd be 24-hour health care, but some of these places are the worst. And as a pastor, when I go into some of these places, it smells like I just walked into a urinal. So I'm not really for all of that. So I would like for her to be home, and they'll send people to the house to do the rehabbing at the house. So that's what I have. I see Cheech has his hand up, and once I get through Cheech, I'm turning it over to AC, and AC will be hosting us today. Go ahead, Cheech.
Just a quick shout out to my little sister. It's her 50th birthday today. I don't know how she's the little sister when I'm younger than that. I'm just saying.
All right. Well, anybody else before AC takes the charge? Because AC look like Dave. You trying to say something? Or you good? Dave, you've been missing that long. You forgot how to unmute yourself.
Hey,
So
side.
Yo, man, I'm moving in slow motion, man. I had the flu, man. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm trying to get it back together here, but it's hard.
Uh,
Congratulations to Grandpa 30 pack, Cheech. Grandpa 30 pack.
30 pack.
30 packet.
Yeah.
30 pack. All right, AC is yours, man.
Okay, well, we're not gonna take much time. Get started. Go ahead, D.
All right, real quick. I'm just gonna shout out to the chat because they just came up. Melissa Sutherland Moss, Donald Coleman, Eva, Karen Caffey, Valerie Burris Marsh, and Renee Henderson. That's all I got so far. If you guys got some more, let me know.
You got Isabel
Isabel
Jordan.
Oh, I don't
Oh,
see
who's that?
Isabella. That's who that is.
Ruth
Yeah.
Caffey. That's
Like
Ruth
Duffy
Caffey.
said.
You got Richard Bowden.
Up there she goes.
But you got David's fan, Dave Kennard's fan, Ruth Caffey from the Community Baptist Church.
Eric Jones.
Eric Jones just popped up.
Eric Jones.
Real quick.
Glad you're here.
I know your TV's been going crazy about Minnesota, but we're gonna go out to Minnesota, and as we understand with that incident that occurred out there, the feds aren't letting the state do their thing with this case. They're not letting anybody investigate them but their own, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's take a look at a video.
The head of Minnesota State Investigations Agency said that they have been cut out of the investigation into the fatal shooting in Minneapolis. Can you explain that reversal?
I'd like to know where they've been and why they're not out on the streets investigating all of these people that are harassing and inciting violence on law enforcement officers right now. They're allowing this situation to be volatile. They're not doing their work. Yes, sir.
They've been cut out.
They have not been cut out. They don't have any jurisdiction in this investigation.
We have our state. Please go home.
Minnesotans, I will continue to press that we be part of the investigation, that we do the investigation, so that Minnesotans can trust what the outcome is. I don't have a predetermined notion. Yes, I saw the video. Yes, I saw that. But a thorough investigation will see what happened before that. It will take all factors in, and it will come up with a fair accept that. Very, very difficult for Minnesotans to think in any way this is going to be fair when Kristi Noem was judge, jury, and basically executioner yesterday.
I wish the state officials in Minnesota would investigate why you have so many people who are using their vehicles and other means to actually interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation. The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity. He was doing his job. The idea that Tim Walz and a bunch of radicals in Minneapolis are going to go after and make this guy's life miserable because he was doing the job that he was asked to do is preposterous. The unprecedented thing is the idea that a local official can actually prosecute a federal official with absolute immunity. I've never seen anything like that. It can get tossed out by a judge. So what I'd like Minnesota to focus on is the real issue that they're encouraging people. Minneapolis officials are encouraging people to commit violence against ICE officials. It's ridiculous. It's got to stop.
Okay, Jim?
It's really just amazing, the lies that come out of these officials' mouths. I mean, it's just amazing. And I know he knows he's lying. It just doesn't matter. There is no total immunity for this guy. Yes, state officials could prosecute federal people that break the state law. And what really kills me, and everybody has seen this video. Everybody in the country has seen this video. And I know, and you'll all agree, every single cop in this country that has watched that video knows that this was an unjustified shooting. Every cop. I don't care what they say, because most of them are MAGA, but they know that when you shoot somebody through a side window and they're dead, that's not a justified shooting. End of story, end of conversation. And this lie about, well, we're going to investigate, they already said, they publicly have said they're not investigating. They have already said this is a justified shooting, move on. They're not allowing the Minnesota criminal justice department to investigate. They can't stop them, but they won't turn over evidence to them. What kind of evidence? Take the car, the first bullet through the windshield, the direction of that bullet. Where did it go? Where was the cop standing? That's all great evidence. They will never get that. The body itself, the autopsy, the original autopsy, they'll never get that. You know, they'll have to have the family get its own autopsy if they ever release the body. Who knows? The cover up. We are in a police state. And unfortunately, the police departments across the country are backing this. They're backing it. They'll either back it by saying that it's a justified shooting, or they're backing it by silence. Either way, they're backing it. And it's the most dangerous time in America right now when these ICE agents, and they're not police officers, they are agents, could, without any accountability, shoot and kill people. We're in a dangerous place. And, you know, one of the questions I have, and I hope we can talk about it, is what do we consider the role of our local police in this matter? There's going to be an occasion where the demonstrators and the ICE agents get violent towards each other. It's going to happen. It has happened. It's going to happen again. When responding local police get there, what is going to be their responsibility? We know that they're going to stop protesters from throwing rocks and bricks and Molotov cocktails and make arrests as they see fit. But will they also arrest ICE officers that are beating the tar out of some individual? If you're a police officer and your partner stands there beating the heck out of a prisoner, you're responsible to stop that partner. You're responsible. We have laws in New York State that say you will be criminally held. You'll be criminally responsible for not getting in. Well, if you have to stop your own partner from beating the hell out of a prisoner, would it not make common sense that you better stop the ICE agent from doing it? But the question I have is, I don't know if they will. I don't know if they'll be, well, that's the feds. I have nothing to do with the feds. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're in for some real bad times coming up. And I'm just hoping these police departments, our local police departments, are training on their personnel and making them aware that you can't take well, it's not my business when your citizens are getting brutalized. You just can't do it. That's all I have.
Right.
Ooh, so much to cover, so much to cover. At some point, I'd like to give a masterclass in deadly physical force. This is very simple. Everybody's acting like a big prosecution and investigation needs to happen. It's very simple. Look at the deadly physical force statute. What they're doing in Minnesota fits. Anybody know the acronym? Mr. and Mrs. A.A. Barks? We all studied it. The K on Barks is kidnapping. Deadly physical force. That empowers you to use deadly physical force. I don't want to have that class now. That's going to take us way off. But I wanted to say something about the folks in charge. I hope we're not all surprised. We got criminals and peoples whose background, some guy that just got sworn in as the IG. This guy just had handcuffs on last year. Everybody in this administration is corrupt. So I challenge everybody, stop expecting it to follow the rule of law. They've thrown it out the window. They've thrown it out the window. And it's not going to affect you. I know you like certain people in certain places until you make a decision that although I like that guy, this is not the way we can go. There's no one. You can't prosecute. Ain't no prosecutors. They all got fired already or quit. They all gone. Ain't no investigators. The FBI was gutted. What you investigating? What you investigating? Anybody watch how these investigations going? The FBI does absolutely nothing. I'm gonna pull the curtain back on the FBI as a whole of any. That's not the way they're supposed to work, man. When you look at the CPL, your state and local police run the state. Anybody, any history buffs? Where law enforcement started in the state, it didn't start with no FBI. They all came after. DEA, ICE came after. It's the sheriff first, state and local police. That's what the CPL says. They're the ones that set the rules for law. Now, I know the mindset is the FBI, because it's federal, they can come in. That's not the way the CPL works. That's not what the CPL works. That's not how it works. I know it sort of makes sense because they're federal. The reason the states have the power with these prosecutions so that this doesn't happen. We talked about evidence before. I've told you guys I'm a private investigator, so hey, I don't need no evidence. Swear me in for a couple days. Dave, I'm coming to get you. Don and AC, I'm coming to get y'all too, and we're gonna go out there for 6 hours, and we'll have them in handcuffs. Give us the blessing. Ain't no big investigation need to happen. I've never had a case this easy. I've never had a homicide. Dave, have you had a homicide this easy? It's easy. But the reason they're not going to do anything is because they've gotten rid of everybody that could do anything. And they've put these people, and they're still putting them in these positions. And if you put non-law enforcement people in non-law enforcement positions, you're going to have anarchy. I started out by saying the deadly physical force. I know the statute. Y'all kidnapping people. The CPL says, I had one right here. The CPL says I can do something about that. Now I know, I wanted to say this really quick and then I'm done. I was an undercover for a while where I had to get locked up. So being locked up don't scare me. I've been in Rikers. I've been locked up. That doesn't scare me. So if it's going to be necessary for people to act and do things by the law, that's what's going to take. That's why the law is there. Certain people are deciding to ignore the law. Most of us cannot. Because after a while, they're going to come for you. Was it Martin Luther King's birthday? What did he say? Right? If I don't stand up, sooner or later they're going to come for me. We got to pay attention to that. Because they're already locking up administrators' family members. These same people's family members are getting locked up. What's her name? What's the speaker? The press secretary's name? Her nephew's mama got swiped up. Only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. That's it.
Thanks, Rich.
Yeah. Okay. Such a bad situation that the people are dealing with ICE. This department is being run where they can do anything they want to people, you know, with impunity, and then play the victim. So on one hand, they're the aggressor, and then when you check them, they're the victim. The police aren't doing enough to protect the ICE agents. You know, the woman who's killed is a domestic terrorist. This is so upside down. There's no accountability. It was a kid with a megaphone doing a protest. They shot him point blank in his eye with a pepper ball. His eye's gone. He doesn't even know, and they don't know what officer did it. Why? Because who's that masked man with no insignia, no name tag, no badge? So his eye was taken, and they don't even know which ICE officer did it. This is where we're at now. The public are being harassed. They're being brutalized. You know, it's terrorist Gestapo tactics that they used in Nazi Germany that's happening right. Where's your papers? I mean, they contacted a guy, Somali guy, at the gas station. He's pumping gas, and the ICE agent walks up and goes, "Hey, where are you from?" He goes, I'm a citizen. He goes, are you a citizen or are you naturalized? Like, that makes a difference. If you're naturalized, you're a citizen. So now there's a status so they can mess with you if you're naturalized. We've gotten to a point, and then their tactics with contacting people in their vehicle. They just start busting windows, and they cut you out of your seatbelt, and then they handcuff you, throw you to the ground. And then later on, they confirm you are a U.S. citizen, and then they dust you off and they leave the scene.
It's kidnapping.
It's not. Their mindset is no harm, no foul. No, there is harm, and it's definitely foul. And I don't know what you got. Dumbass Trump, who's now saying he's considering enacting the Insurrection Act. That's been his plan all along. That was the plan the My Pillow guy had on notes outside the White House. This is what they want to do. Martial law. They want to lock down blue cities, and he'll remain in power. Elections won't matter. That's ridiculousness that's going on. I mean, it's just not. Every morning you wake up, don't you go to your phone and go, "What did he do this time? What stupid shit has he come up with? Whose rights is he abusing? What country does he want to take over? What is he, a mini Putin? You want to take over Greenland? This is how far we're going. Everything is nonsense everywhere. And then he's showing signs of dementia and not doing nothing about it. The Republicans are the worst. They're letting this man ruin our country, destroy us. He's rich. People without medical health care now are hurting. He doesn't care. He's oblivious. He's walking to the door, doing a meeting, going, "Oh, this is where the ballroom's going to be." The 25th Amendment needs to be enacted. I know I've gone full circle, but this is the kind of frustration I have with our government now. I love my country, but I hate our government. That's all I got.
Okay. Derek? You're muted, Derek.
We can't hear you.
Yeah.
There we go. I was saying there were two things that Jim said that was spot on. And one is there is no such thing as absolute immunity. And the other is we are in a police state. At this point, we need to protect ourselves. First of all, we need to stay out of harm's way. And I know that people want to protest and they want to be out there where ICE is and make noise. You can't protect yourselves around them. And when there's one of you and there's 30, 40, 50 of them, you can't protect yourself. So for the people out there listening, do whatever you can to protect yourself. And protecting yourself means more than likely isolating yourself from areas where ICE is. Obviously, anybody that has any power to do anything about them is either on board with them or completely complacent. And they're not going to do anything. And it's funny because we've seen certain things, but there are other things out there that if you don't really look, if you don't look for things, you don't see them. Yesterday, there was a 17-year-old that was working at Target, and he was outside corralling the carts to bring the carts in the store, and the ICE agents rolled up on him. They beat him up, handcuffed him, threw him in their vehicle, and all the while he's yelling, "I'm a citizen," and there was someone in the background saying he's a citizen. But they roughed him up, they handcuffed him, they put him in their vehicle, and they took him. They took him away from his job. And eventually they must have realized he really is a citizen, and miles away, they dumped him out at a Walmart parking lot, dumped him out of the vehicle. There was another guy that they yanked out of his personal vehicle. They yanked him out and put him on the ground. And mind you, there's already like 3 or 4 of them on him on his back. He's chest down on the ground with his face turned to the side, and they're handcuffing him, but they have him pinned down. He's not moving. Another guy comes over and knees him in the face 4 or 5 times. Destroyed this guy's face. Destroyed it. And these are masked thugs, masked hoodlums, and no one's ever going to find out who they are. And the best we can do is keep ourselves out of harm's way. And if they bring harm your way, then you do what you have to do. But don't go out there wherever they are in mass is their territory. And there's nothing we can do about that at this point. So protect yourselves, stay out of harm's way. And, if they come to your turf, then you do what you have to do. But don't go where they are looking for them, because you can't win.
All right, thanks. Dave?
Yeah, man. All you gentlemen, all you brothers, mate, and Jim, y'all made outstanding points, man. You know, I'm sitting here and I saw that lady get murdered, and that was straight murder. I don't give a damn what people say, what they try to twist it on TV. Come on, man. You cannot parade people out here from your cabinet to make up excuses for this fucking cop to use or this ICE officer to use as his defense. Okay? He murdered that woman. Brain splattered all over her airbag. Okay? And she didn't even hate the guy. That's number one. Number two, man, I would like to know, the investigation. They stopped the state police from investigating. They stopped the local police from investigating. I want to know how many of these ICE bastards were insurrectionists on January 6th. I want to know their backgrounds, like they did a background check on me. They went back to 6th grade with me in high school for my job. Yeah, I want to know who these people are that you're hiring. They're volunteering to come over here and beat people up and kick the shit out of people. Okay? I want to know who they are, their backgrounds. I want to know Stephen Miller's background and his mom and daddy's background, because he's a piece of shit, racist scum. Okay? I want to know Kash Patel's background. I want to know Christy Noon's background and that stupid ass carpet munching Pam Bondi's background. Okay, this is not right what's happening here. We as black folks, we told people. But you know what, man? Just because we told them, I don't want to see this done to people, what's happening to them. Dragging women out of the car, smashing their faces in concrete and asphalt, terrorizing high school kids on the way to school, coming home from school, from sports practice, terrorizing young girls, thinking some fool's trying to kidnap them. Meanwhile, ICE trying to snatch them up because they got brown skin. Terrorizing Haitian and other black and brown folk from Caribbean countries, coming home from work after 12-hour shifts at 2 jobs. This is all make America white again. I don't give a damn how you twist it. I don't care. I don't give a damn if you try to pat me on the back. This is Trump's plan and the fool that did that Project 2025 shit to make America white again. Rob, rape, steal, and kill. Racist motherfuckers. Rob, rape, steal, and kill. Just want to steal everybody's shit, kill everybody don't look like you, rape the shit out of your women, get away with rape, let these rich bastards walk right here raping young girls, and they cover it up. They should, when Trump got it off from when he got convicted of those 34 counts, man, and they let his ass back in that White House, we know we were all fucked then. I'm done, man. I ain't done, but I'm done.
Thank you. Mark?
So I agree with what everybody said, except the part of local police being blamed, being part of it. I really don't feel that. I feel that the local police know that they are helpless to do anything against ICE. You're not going to see any local law enforcement turn around and try to lock up a bunch of feds if they got a half a brain, because you have the president backing these clowns. You don't know who these guys are. Your powers are limited, whether you like it or not. You may think, I'm a cop. Listen, it's not the case. If the governor can't stop these guys, if the district attorney's office can't stop these guys, what makes you think you as a police officer is going to make any impact? All you're going to do is kiss your years goodbye and get locked up for some trumped up federal charge and get sent to a federal prison, and you're not getting pardoned. So I really feel that there are some officers that are mega and therefore they're backing that. I get that. I'm not disputing that. But for the majority, I really don't feel it. I know a lot of good officers who are not with that. But how do you stop it? You're not going to do it. You take any police department on Long Island, and if they go against it, they're going to have their asses handed to them. There's going to be nobody that backs them up. Nobody in power. Like I said, from the governor on down, nothing. So what makes you think you're really going to make an impact? And I feel bad for the public, which is us, because who do you call? If ICE comes in and they start doing stuff, who do you call? You have nobody but to call the police and hope they do it. And now they're attacking the police, ICE, and the government, saying you guys aren't doing your job to protect us. Forget what we're doing. We could be violating everybody's rights in the world, but you as police officers come in and protect us. But that's the mind frame that this president has given these people. And unfortunately, just like so many other things that he's doing in this country, taking over, looking to take over Greenland, doing this, doing that, bombing people. He's got the military afraid to step up. Oh, no, that's an illegal thing. You know it's illegal, but yet you're still killing people in these boats, not knowing that you do have the right to do it, but you're following orders, which is how you've been raised either in the military or the police department. And you're afraid that if you do, you're not going to make an impact. They're just going to make an example of you. That's all.
Well, Jim, you got your finger up?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing that Mark was referring to. The problem, Mark, is that a lot of departments they're dealing with right now issues of the community being upset that their local department, I'll take Suffolk County, for example, is cooperating with ICE. Nassau is different. They are cooperating with ICE, but Suffolk County is not cooperating with ICE. And they get constant calls and pictures and Facebook posts and all this of what appears to be cops working with ICE. Now, if you exacerbate that to a disturbance where the local police have to respond because there's a call of a disturbance, I have heard with my own ears that they're going there to protect ICE. Now, that's what the community hears and sees, that we all agree that the community are the victim of these out-of-control ICE agents. And we would all agree under normal circumstances, it's the duty of our local police to protect us. Okay, so combine those things now with a department that's going to come to that scene and protect ICE and not protect the citizen from ICE. Now, I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with it, because that's the kind of catch-22 these cops are in. And I'm not saying that the responding officer is going to solve this problem on the scene, but the powers to be, and yes, the governors have to grow bigger set and deal with this, that if a responding department is there to maintain peace and order, I'm saying that there should be backing from the state, that if they need to arrest one of these make-believe cops, arrest his ass. Deal with the feds. Deal with it. Something has to stop. Somebody's got to stand up. That's all I'm saying. Yes, there are a lot of MAGA cops and all that. I get that. And many of them that respond to the scene would like to join ICE in beating the hell out of a protester. I get that. But they're also committed to their department, their job, and what they're supposed to be doing to protect the people. So it's I don't have the answer, but I know this. Standing there doing nothing as an ICE agent is beating the hell out of your neighbor is not going to fly. It's just not going to fly.
So although that sounds good, if that was to happen, you as an officer, what do you really think you're going to do? Because what you think you would do and what you would actually do, I'm telling you, is different. In the state that it is right now, and unfortunately, just like if your department is not backing you, if your political people are not backing you, just because a governor gets on television and, oh, this is right, this is not right, we're going to do this. Listen, they're not going to help that street cop when you got 20 or 30 thugs beating the heck out of somebody and you take your handcuffs out. We may think we're noble and we're going to do that, but in reality, I don't think so.
Well, I can give you the opposite end. I can give you the opposite viewpoint to that. So when you get to the scene and you're not going to do that, you're going to stand there as an ICE agent beating the hell out of a protester, and you're not going to do something. I could tell you that front page of Newsday is going to get you, the cop, fired, because your department will turn on you in a second.
You know what? And I agree with you. We as law enforcement, police officers, are stuck in the middle all the time.
I agree with
all
that.
the time. This is nothing to do between politics. That's why I can't stand when politics gets involved with the police department, because they don't suffer the things that we have to deal with. They're not impacted. They have the officers go do this, have the officers go do that, but they're not impacted with the results and how the public now sees us, because we're ordered by those politicians, and it just keeps going up. And unfortunately, because it keeps going up, it goes up to the top, and the top is he's just a POS.
Thank you. Will?
We have loyalty masquerading as leadership. And right now, the only hope that we have for the everyday citizen, city, county, state, country, to respond to our needs and to give us some relief from this federal-led oppression is local law enforcement. So with that, I give you two acronyms. One is CALEA, Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. The other is IACP, International Association Chiefs of Police. Those are two leadership organizations that represent law enforcement, local law enforcement throughout the country. And they set guidelines and precedents for what are best practices. Now, we already know this thing is politicized the way that it is, but both of these organizations, CALEA is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. IACPA are police chiefs. For whatever agency they are at, they are considered the pinnacle for that department as a department head. If those two organizations stand up in solidarity with leadership and say, we have to protect the people, I don't know. We have to protect the people who are falling victim to this onslaught. politicians, they ain't gonna have a choice but to get on board. Because you can, if you actually put those groups together, you mobilize, because there's far more local law enforcement officers throughout this country than there are ICE agents. And you start mobilizing officers from individual departments that are either CALEA certified, and if they're not, leadership will agree that needs to be done. But if we don't mobilize a well-armed militia, as the Constitution stipulates, from among our law enforcement group, to be uniquely focused as being the moving wall and barrier to this onslaught, then, as James Brown said, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. Because right now, we're being pushed to our knees. I'm good.
So I'm a member of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. All those organizations are great, but they still don't have the power that the state has. They may have some type of influence, but at the end of the day, let's face it, we as police officers, all we do is arrest people. We take them to court. The courts take over. Well, when you have the district attorney's office who knows that it's not going anywhere, you as a police officer know that. I mean, you're not an idiot. You know that. And if you know that these guys aren't backing, Minnesota is going to be the test ground, because you have the governor, you have the district attorney, you have all these people up in arms, and they are trying to get justice done. And you have the feds that are like, you know what? We don't want to hear it. Cry somewhere else. You guys are powerless against us. It is what it is. Okay, I'll stop now so you can go ahead.
Well, the point that I'd like to make, and more, I completely understand, and I know that you being the representation as a chief, but based upon what you're saying, is the kind of apathetic approach that we had during the last election, when some 40 million people didn't vote, and you see the result of that. So while I completely get your point, if we choose to take that approach and no one is willing to stand up as an organization representative of the people, whether it is political officials or law enforcement officials, then it's no different than if you sat home on election day and didn't vote.
All right. So I don't see that as being the same. You choosing not to vote, not an impact on your freedom, on your job, and how you provide for your family. It's just you decided to sit your behind in your house and not vote. Now you taking a chance on doing something that even the people above you, district attorney's office, governors, they're not succeeding. You know, you're helpless. The law enforcement agencies, we still have political power. Okay, you hear the unions and stuff like that coming in pro for MAGA, but that doesn't mean every cop out there, which numbers more than the union guys, are MAGA. Look at Nassau County. You got Blakeman who's running. All right, you got the commissioner there, but yet there's no officer that's going to make an impact and stand up against these guys. It's just it's not realistic.
I didn't say officer. I said leadership.
Minnesota is going to be the proving ground. You have the perfect example of what's going on. You have the government who's saying this is wrong. You have the feds saying, no, this is right. You guys can't even investigate it. We're telling you no. We don't care what you think. Oh, you got this agency and that agency? Well, that's good. Go sit down, okay, because we're not letting you do it. We're having the FBI do it, and the FBI is going to overrule everybody. And the courts are backing them. See, what we're looking at and what we're expecting is used to have some type of fairness in the judicial system. We don't have that anymore. Like I think Dave said, or somebody said, all the good ones are gone. I think it was D. They cleaned house. Everybody's gone. So, it's like going to a movie theater and you expect something to happen and they're like, oh, everybody's gone. We're doing it a whole different way now. Sorry.
But you're making my point about leadership, because for the ones that have been removed, it's still just as many that are jumping ship, because now that stuff, I'm sorry, pardon my language, because shit then got thick. Now they want to take their ball and go home, and whatever whenever they done built up in their own coffers, they want to take their shit and go home and leave the rest of us to fend for this. That's why I say leadership is masquerading as loyalty is masquerading as leadership. And all we got left are individuals that hold themselves up by their credentials, that say that they are leaders of men and women to do the right thing behind citizens, that are sitting there waiting for their retirement time to end so they can get out. And then they say, yeah, this is all fucked up. This is all messed up. Well, it was messed up when you was in there. So what did you do?
So let me ask you this, Will, and this will be my last defense of this. You're a lieutenant in the police department.
Mm-hmm.
You trying to do the right thing every day when you come to work. Mm-hmm. Now, all of a sudden, you don't have the support of the people above you.
Okay.
All right. Do you still keep fighting? Or do
Mark,
you say,
I'm gonna tell you just like this. I'm gonna make it real simple for you.
Let me finish.
Well, I mean, I can answer your question right here.
No,
I can answer your question.
I didn't finish the question. So my point is, do you keep fighting, or do you say, you know what? This is not how the police department that I was raised in is run. It's too corrupt. It's time to go.
Okay, so now I'm gonna answer your question. And right up until the last day I left my job, Mark, I have looked 2 different, matter of fact, 3 or 4 different chiefs in the face and told them, if your number one priority is your own well-being in this profession, you are not a chief, you are not a leader of men, you are a manager just trying to get to the end. And so I've looked them, and that's at the risk of telling, because I can imagine most people in that scenario, if I said that to them, they probably fire me. But in my mind's eye, given the responsibility that I had as a law enforcement officer and seeing how things have changed and the way that things are selectively done, and seeing the people that get hurt behind it, how can I call myself a leader of people as a supervisor and I don't stand up for what's right?
Did you change anything?
Is that your barometer?
No, I'm asking you a question. Did you change anything? When you made those statements to the police chiefs, did you change anything?
Again, no. In my opinion, I didn't.
Okay.
But is that your barometer? Because if that's the case, then with that logic,
that's reality. That's reality.
One of the reasons,
That's the reality, though. You may want to change it. I stood up.
So now we're back to the apathy point.
I stood up as a cop
and
fought with the department. And all I was blackballed. Nothing else. Support from my peers that I was fighting for, out the window.
It was worth it to do the right thing for me.
And you know what? And it was the right thing for me, but I paid for it.
I think we should leave it there.
Yeah.
We're moving too far from where we were.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they had a great discussion.
No, yeah.
I'm still leaning with Will on that one, because just because you don't make a change don't mean you don't try to make a change. That happens in ministry. That happens everywhere. You don't just sit up here and say, well, it ain't gonna change nothing, so I ain't gonna do nothing. And I think that's what Will. That's what Will is saying. I ain't saying what you said. I'm saying what Will is saying. But then I also say, Mark, you did step out. You didn't see immediate change, but your change took place later on. It did take. It made a difference.
But what I'm saying though is, unfortunately, we are now in a country that is so corrupt that
in a world
it's not even a world.
It is
country. I mean, Trump's got this country. Even other countries are looking at us like, what the hell have you become?
Right. So what do we do, Mark? Nothing?
Well, the one thing that we've always said when that time comes is to get out that house and vote. And that's the only thing you can really do to get some type of success. And you better hope that the system, by the time we do get a chance to vote, is not rigged against us where it doesn't matter. We are then truly screwed.
Let me say, this is my last thing to it, AC, also. So, what about swearing to protect the Constitution, United, your local municipality? What do we just disregard that now because the federal government is coming after us? What do we do?
No,
well, what do we do? I mean,
we really don't have much choice. Just like you're talking about the police department.
Yeah.
And I'm taking it even further, even all the way up to the military. What do?
Follow the Constitution.
Okay, are they?
I don't know what they're doing, but I'm just saying that's what you should do.
You see the boats being bombed. You see us about to maybe go to get into a war with Greenland, who has done nothing but exist. You see, we're about to maybe bomb Iran, and the ironic thing, the hypocritical thing, is, oh, Mr. President, you're worried about those protesters over there, but yet you want to kill American protesters here? It's lunacy. It's lunacy.
It is.
But I hear you. We're not far off from how we think, but I'm just realizing right now we let this dude back in, and we are paying for it in every which way and how we are. And what we thought was a judicial system is no longer.
Okay. I got Derek, Rich, and Jim waiting.
Yeah. The last time Trump was in office, he wanted to shoot protesters. I'm sure he wants to do it this time, but he knows he can't just drop a bomb on the protesters here because there'd be a price to pay. Obviously, in drips and drabs, they are hurting a lot of people by harming the protesters they are. But he knows he could drop a bomb on protesters in other countries and get away with it. And just drop bombs in other countries and get away with it, period. So I think that's one of the reasons he wants to do it, just because of the level of power hunger that he has. He just wants to exert it somehow. And if he can do it in another country, so be it. So in order, I'm going to go through things. Dave had talked about background checks. And Dave, there is a young lady named Laura Jadid. And this is a video that may come up later, I'm not sure. But Laura Jadid is a Democratic activist. And she is all over social media. And she is against the Republicans. She is against ICE. And she went in for an interview with ICE. She was interviewed for 6 minutes. She said a 6-minute interview, no background check. They told her she had to do a Dole test, which she did. She admitted to having weed in her system. She said, and like 3 days later, she just happens to check the website and they have her listed as hired.
Oh, wow.
A 6-minute interview, no background check, and weed in her system. And she checked the site a few days later and was hired. And she said if they did any type of homework at all, they could see she was all over social media bad-mouthing them. So that's the type of background checks that they're doing. As far as IACP and Kalia, will they stand up? And what or where is the leadership mentally? Because if you look on Facebook, and I've been looking at things on Facebook, different things where people are talking about ICE, there for every one person that's making sense, there are at least 30 people talking a whole bunch of nonsense. And it's unfortunate law enforcement in this country is blind, and they are backing what the ICE agents are doing and what the Republicans have going on. And it makes no sense to me. I can't understand it, but it can't just be the rank and file that are thinking that way. Some of these people have to be in the leadership position. Some of them have to be. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do anything. I'm just letting you know where these people's minds are. These people are really fucked up in the head. They really are. And it's unfortunate. And that's why I was saying we just need to be prepared to protect ourselves. I don't know if we can affect change. And the change I'm looking to do is protect me. And hopefully I never will have to. Hopefully I can skate by the next 25, 30 years on this planet and I don't have to do anything or defend myself against anything or anyone. But that's what we need to be prepared to do. And as far as the system becoming rigged against us, Mark, the system is already rigged against us. Do we honestly think, does anyone on this panel honestly think that Trump won every swing state? Right. The system is already rigged. It's already rigged. And that's all I have.
Can we address Richard Bowden's statement on the chat? I don't know if you guys saw that. He put down that we have our panties in a bunch because this has happened under the Trump administration, but immigration enforcement was happening under Biden, and we didn't say anything when it was happening.
Well, there's a big difference.
That's bullshit.
Exactly.
That's a fucking
exactly.
lie, and I'm tired of the fucking bullshit. Enough of this fucking ignorant bullshit. Educate your fucking self. That's fucking a lie.
I think that just addressed it. Thank you. Rich?
Get out of here with that.
Yeah. Rich, we got Rich and then Jim. Then we have to go back to another part of this topic. Yeah, Rich.
Okay. Yeah, I just got a novel idea. You know, the county has the body. Okay. And I wish Kyle was here because I wonder what the procedure would be. I would say that the district attorney put the case on anyway. File charges against this ICE officer. We got his name. We have the victim. You know, we saw that we have the videotape. And if we have a coroner's report that shows that the second shot was the kill shot, the side of her head, we got enough evidence. And what'll happen is, even if we don't win the case, we put it on. And we may have to get a judge to force them to give information because the case is being put on. We may have to force their hand to that way. I think it's a novel way to do it. I wish Kyle was here to see if that would work because we've had convictions in cases of murder, they didn't have the body.
Out the body.
You know, they didn't have some other information. They didn't have the weapon, and they still got convictions. So why don't we do this? Everybody's seen the tape. So we got the body. Let's just go with the evidence we do have and maybe force their hand and get a judge to say the federal government's got to release that information for the state to do this prosecution. I don't know. That might work, but we might be trying something. We might force their hand. That's just something.
That sounds good, but I think we might need to defend it.
Well, we have the defendant's name. We got his information. He's not like a masked man and we don't know who it is.
Yeah,
we
he's
got
not in custody.
We got his name.
They already took him away from home. They shipped him off somewhere already.
The bottom line is still, we can do it in absentia. We got his information. We know who he is. It's different if you know who he was. We can put his name as a defendant on a case and prosecute and go with whatever we have. We got witness statements. They can't stop that.
I actually think they plan on doing it. I think they are. That's my guess.
I'm just saying go forward. We sit here sitting on our hands saying we can't do nothing. The feds are covering it up. They're taking the guy away. Let's do something. Let the state do something. This happened in Minnesota. Minnesota has the right to put this case on. I don't care what. If I was a district attorney, it'd be put on. And whether we lose it or not, I'd go with all the evidence we got and see if a jury will convict. And I think they would. Just on the autopsy and the video we've seen and witness statements. That second shot and that third shot were kill shots. And he wasn't in danger. It's clear cut. You couldn't find an easier murder case. Or man one, man two, whatever they can get, I would do. That's all. That's all I got.
Well, you had your finger up?
A quick point of clarification in regards to Richard Bowden's comment. He says, I never mentioned Biden in my comment. Anyone that says I did is a liar. So I was scrolling back trying to see his comment that we referred to. But I just want to put that out there. He's saying that he did not make mention of Biden by name in his comment.
What was his comment?
I don't know. I can't scroll back to see it. Who was it that made mention that he brought that up?
I'll find
No,
it. I
he
got
said
it.
it under the Obama administration.
No, I got it. I got the literal. The literal says, "Let ICE investigate their own. Before I was born, local and state cops were shooting and killing blacks. They investigated and are still investigating their own. They'll find nothing wrong and life goes on. All she had to do was obey ICE and she'd still be alive. They've been telling that to us for decades. Now that it's a white woman and you people get your panties in a bunch. You're only pissed because it happened in the Trump administration. You were silent when Arizona cops were asking for papers under the Obama administration."
Obama did that shit legally. He followed the law. They kept naming him as the deporter in chief, but he followed the law. Meaning, when he grabbed people, they got due process. They got the chance to argue their case in a fucking court. Okay, enough of this fucking horseshit.
Under the
Dave.
Obama administration, as a Latino, I was not scared to be out.
You
Now
shouldn't
I
have
am.
been.
No.
Now I am. It was totally different under Obama than it is now. There's a
And he
big difference.
gave medical attention, and he did not separate families from their children.
Woo.
Is it?
Bullshit. You want to go? I studied this shit. Let's do it.
Part of the time when Obama was there, his second term, it was a Republican Congress, correct? Is that right?
Yes, yes.
They
Why
could
them
have
shitting on Obama?
wrote laws to affect. They could have wrote laws to affect immigration. Kind of like it's a Republican Congress now. They could write laws, but instead of doing that, they opted to go to ICE, create ICE. Anyway,
Shitting on Obama, then they lied and voted for fucking Trump instead of Hillary. I'm done.
okay. I got Mark, and then we'll go to Jim, and we're gonna finish this one. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I agree with what Dave's saying. You
Say it
look,
like that.
we've dealt with I dealt with ICE in Hempstead years ago, and all they did was they were looking for a person. They asked us to show up, so the local police, so the people would see the local police. They wouldn't think it was. They didn't have masks. They didn't have the heavy armament. They went in, they grabbed them, and it was the one person. They weren't attacking people on the street. They weren't picking up people. They weren't going to people's churches. They weren't going to supermarkets. They weren't going to their jobs, dragging them out. Back then, ICE was only grabbing criminals. If we had an arrest and the guy's name popped up, we'd call ICE. They come down. We'd finish process them, take them to Nassau County, and then ICE would come and pick them up there. Okay, Hempstead is still doing that. But you didn't see ICE officers attacking people on the street. You didn't see, matter of fact, you could have passed back then with Obama an ICE agent and you would have never known who he was. You'd have probably thought he was local law enforcement, but they weren't out there like that. Now they're out there in gangs. And we've already shown these guys covered up. They're not trained. They're not vetted rather. This is a whole different group. There's nowhere in history that you could compare to the way these guys are now, unless you went over to Germany with the Nazis, with the troopers, SS troopers.
Jim.
Yeah, I'll go out on a limb and say what Kyle would have said to Rich. Absolutely, he could be tried, convicted in the state of Minnesota without a doubt, based on the evidence that they do have, even the stuff that they can't get. Also, with that said, Mark said way early on in one of the discussions that this is going to be a test case because if the government of Minnesota is able to hold this ICE agent accountable for his actions, that is a huge test case for heading in the right direction to stop this nonsense. However, my caution is Trump is already threatening the Insurrection Act for Minnesota, which would take away the district attorney and anybody else's power in that state. The power would rest with the president of the United States, period. So if he pulls that off, which he wants to do, maybe, Rich, for the reason you're talking about, there will be no investigation in Minnesota because it'll be under curfew and the Insurrection Act.
Yes, Mark?
I'll just say this. The founding fathers never, ever thought that you'd have a multi-felon as the president. Just like police work, unfortunately, our laws are reactionary, and something has to happen for them to start changing stuff. All right, they're not proactive, they're reactive. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. This country is jacked right now, internationally and nationally.
Well, Mark, just to add to what you're saying is all three branches of government are corrupt. The founders never thought that would happen. They put the three branches co-equal to have a check and balance. There's no check and balance because they're all corrupted. They're all leaning to the right and letting Trump get away with murder.
All checks and no balance, guys. All checks, no balance.
D, can you get handover ready? Will, you mentioned before that the problem local police will have with the aftermath of ICE agents, not during when they're here separating. Once they're gone, they leave the area. How will local police be able to work in community again with these people? Could you add something to that?
Well, and it's kind of what we were going a little bit back and forth a moment ago. These ICE agents are not police officers. They are not trained at the local level to interact with the public. Their focus is very specific on federal guidelines and laws, which is why they are more an investigative unit. So the presumption is when they come in to take an action, they are operating off of tried and true investigative tactics that have generated reasonable suspicion, probable cause, and the authority is in hand rather than just fishing in a barrel, shaking something up. And the worst part about it is almost exclusively, if not exclusively, based on the vilification of a certain demographic of people. So if you look a certain way or sound a certain way or find yourself in a certain area or work a certain job, those are the ones that are being targeted. There is no clearer example of racially or nationality charged bias out there. There has never been a more widespread example of violation of constitutional guidelines than what we're seeing. Now, from the standpoint of local law enforcement, once ICE leaves, the people see us as representation of law enforcement. They're not going to delineate. I know that somebody was saying that there is. No, I can promise you. When you talk about the Hispanic community and their inclination to have little to do with local law enforcement, they're scared that we're cooperating with federals. And there is no greater time for you to be scared than for you to see somebody hurting, harming you, and the people that say they're here to protect you do nothing. They don't show up. They don't try to intervene. And if our only excuse is, well, our hands are tied, pardon my language, I need to get the fuck out of the business. When I said the things that I said to the chiefs that I said it to, I knew that there was a potential cost. And in one such instance, the cost was they were going to recommend me for termination. But thankfully, I was allowed to resign. And that whole scenario was behind supporting and backing an officer that I knew they had railroaded because they terminated her. But I say it a million times, I say it once. If you call yourself a leader, but you are your first priority, you're not a fucking leader. Not by any stretch of the imagination.
Let me say this quick, John, before I go to you.
Yeah.
And how local police department, how can you remedy that effect? Because you're still gonna be police or the police or policia, or you still gonna be associated with that. I agree, but that's why you need those relationships ahead of time so that you can regain that trust. If you don't have it in the beginning beforehand, it's not gonna work. But that it's an uphill battle. But if you can't go in. If you don't say, oh, when you pull somebody over or when you grab somebody, stop them and hold them there and get a show up and find it's the wrong person. If you don't tell the person what you did, that you sorry for wasting their time, they're not gonna believe you the next time.
Yeah,
they're not gonna trust you for the next time.
Right.
So you gotta build that relationship going forward, not going back. He has to start with that. And that's one of the problems I think local police have. Okay, Donald, you had something?
Yeah. Let me just say, Will, I appreciate your stance. Whether you win or lose, I appreciate your stance. And when everything you said, here we are celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday today. If he had taken a stance other than what Will had just said, we wouldn't be here today. Saying not only Martin Luther King, you got Malcolm X, you got Harriet Tubman, you got all these persons that were fighting against a system that they knew they couldn't beat the system, but one by one they took a step. You don't jump the whole staircase. You take one step at a time, and I appreciate that because there's been things said to me, and I'm saying, well, no, I'm standing with God, even though it don't look good. I'm still standing on this position. Plain and simple. And Will, you took you took some giant steps. And the one thing you did do, and I just heard you say it just now, you counted the cost before you did it as well. You knew that there's a chance you could be fired, but they let you resign. But you already counted that cost. We have too many of us are like, well, I'm throwing my hands up, okay, nothing I can do. Well, if there's nothing you can do, I agree. I almost want to say what you said, Will, but I can't say that. Then don't do the job. Don't do the job. If you're afraid of that, then don't do it. And let me just tell you this, and this is real serious. There's no need of me preaching if I'm afraid to talk against the government. I might as well take my robe up and hang it up.
Go ahead, Pastor. Tell it.
I heard a preacher this week say, if the church is not going to be different, there's no need for it being the church. If you want the world to like you, you in the wrong business. I'm done, AC. I really had to say that because I was listening to Will and I saw the conviction in Will. Will came out like Dave came out on some of this stuff. And I felt the conviction on that. And I'm like, listen, there's not many people standing like that. Why? Because they're afraid that he's not going to help me, or he's not going to help me, or I'm all by myself. Well, sometimes you will be by yourself.
Mark?
Yeah, so it was noble what you did, Will, and I would never take that away. And there are opportunities that will be presented where you will take a stand. And then there are also going to be times where you won't take a stand. And we've covered that even to the point of seeing other officers and you didn't step up and turn them in. Not you personally, I'm talking about. I'm just talking about in general, where officers didn't take the stand that they were technically supposed to. They just maybe told the officer, hey, don't do that or whatever. So we've gone over that. And we've dealt with that. So there'll be times when you do stand up and there'll be times when you don't. And right now, unfortunately, we're in an era where even our police powers have been taken away. Look at Nassau County. I know you're not familiar with Nassau County, Will, but I would say, well, I'm not even going to say Nassau County. I'll say Hempstead. At one point, we had more minority officers than white officers. But who ran the department? Okay, so guys didn't unify. And like I said, I stood up for something that I know was wrong. I know it was racist. Okay, and I stood up for it. And I got burned for it. And I even got stabbed in the back by my own. So, like I said, there are times when you may stand up, and there are times when you say, you know what? I can't do it this time because I know it's not going to do anything but get me jammed up. Funny, AC. But like I said, you have to pick and choose your battles. If the district attorney, if the governor of Minnesota can't get judicial justice, what makes a police officer in Minnesota think that he's going to make a change? And I wish I was wrong. I really do. And back before the Orange became president, I would have said, yeah, stand up and fight. And all those leaders that Don mentioned, they had to pick and choose their battles too. Don't get it twisted. They had to pick and choose their battles. There were times when they stood up, and there were times where they let it go and they deal with it later. And they were all great leaders. Great leaders.
Well, all this being said, I don't want you to think that even if you're an officer, you still don't get passed. D, you shows that officer?
You want to play that now? We're a little long.
Oh.
I say we should hold off on that one because that's gonna be a good conversation. Can I just say something about the comment real quick? It'll probably run us close to the end. Corey Primetime Chisholm, love the name, partner. Love the name. He says this group of ICE isn't the same as years back. They now finished with training after 6 weeks. They also announced that the head of the Proud Boys has been hired on. Now, there's two basic rules most of you know we're forgetting, and I see it in all the videos, and this is what's missing in that 6-week training. They missed the reasonable suspicion and the probable cause. It's nowhere in walking up to somebody saying, "Are you a citizen?"
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that.
Profiling.
You can't. That's against all the rules we know. So your basic tenet, and we have tenets here. You're wrong. Everything that comes after is going to be wrong. That's the way I was taught. When you start out wrong, you're going to be wrong. You can't get right after making 5 wrong moves, because without reasonable suspicion, probable cause, there's no stop. You can't talk to that guy or that girl. So I don't know whether they're not being taught that or just saying, hey, that's out the window.
They're wearing police on their shirts or on their outer garments.
That's a problem, guys. That is a problem.
They're not doing police work. You gotta remember, they're doing more like
they're not supposed to have police. Patrol. They're supposed to have agent.
Yeah, they do more like border patrol work.
Right.
But they're more than 100 miles from the border. So, yeah, Mark.
Hey, D, you had somebody to answer to.
Absolutely.
If you did wrong on the job, you had somebody to answer to.
Immediately.
These guys don't have anybody. They're emboldened. So what do they care? They don't need to know that stuff because it doesn't matter. And it's sad, but it's reality.
Yeah, I hear you, Mark, but what I'm saying is we want knowledge is key. At the end of the day, we can all sit around. Sooner or later, if I could go over to Mark's house and kick on that door, as long as I stay outside, I'm going to be all right for a while. But sooner or later, Mark's going to do something. That's what we got to prepare for. Sooner or later, I mean, I sent out the videos about, the Black Panther Party and other people and other militias getting together. People going to get tired of getting kicked around. And I don't know if one of y'all is laying down in the street and somebody comes and kicks you in the face. I'm going to jail that day. You understand? I'm going to jail that day. It's just what it is. I hear you, Will. I'm going to jail that day. I spent 32 years on the firing line, getting fired every day. it just became a part of my work. Oh, you gonna fire me? Stand in line, partner. Stand in line. They all trying to fire me. So I get what you're trying to say, but sooner or later, and I'm gonna follow behind you, Will. Somebody got to do something.
Yeah, man.
Because they're coming to a house near you. They're coming.
But that's why I said. But that's why I pointed out those two particular agencies, because when you put responsibility on the shoulders of one individual, we don't see another Martin Luther King. We're not going to see another Malcolm X. We're not going to see another Medgar Evers. But when you're talking about organizations that represent local law enforcement across this country, and they are definitely silent on this, and we're hoping that there's going to be one person, a flashpoint, to fall on the sword and sacrifice. We've already had people fall on the sword. They've been unalived. They're not with us anymore. So where are these individuals that hold themselves up as leaders, as a collective organization, so they don't have to worry about any one person taking the heat round? Where are these leaders in these organizations that sit back in these chairs and have their conferences and go all over the country and sit up in these hotel rooms and have these conferences? Oh man, that's messed up. That's messed up. Man, my 401k is looking good. I'm almost getting ready to retire. That's all they talk about.
That's sad, Will. Sad. Man.
They talk about a little more than that, but remember.
What's that, AC?
They talk about a little more than that, not much more.
Oh, okay.
Jim, you got something?
Yeah, I did a deep study into what the protocols and policy are, arrest policies for ICE, and I dug into it, and I can tell you right now they are very, very limited. ICE has no reasonable suspicion in their entire policy. They need a warrant with a named individual that broke the immigration law. They can act on that warrant. Or if a warrant exists that they don't have it, if they have reasonable cause to believe that person is the person named on a warrant somewhere, they could act. They have zero authority to pull over a car for any reason other than the guy driving the car is the name on this warrant. They have zero authority to tell you, give me your papers, who are you, what's your ID? None, zero. Now, I know they just do it. Nobody stops them. But somehow they're making people think they do have that authority, including some people in law enforcement that think they have that authority. They do not. They are civilians, no different than a process server. They have but they dress like they're SEAL Team 6. They wear their masks. They're trying to be as scary looking as they can. And God darn it, they are scary looking. If they pulled me over, I'd be scared. But they have no authority. This is all make-believe policing that has cost people their lives.
Oh, boy.
I think Mark's got his hand up there.
AC, you on mute. AC, you got Mark's hand up.
I was asking you, can you finish this out? I got to run.
Okay, AC. Mark, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Jim, you're absolutely right. Back then, right now, like I told D, there's nobody checking. Forget the cops. Okay, forget the district. The courts. What are the courts doing? Are they stepping up? No. Who as a citizen can you turn to? You can't turn to the cops. You can't turn to your district attorney's office. You can't go to your local politicians. Who do you go to? You can say all that stuff. You can look up all that stuff. Yeah, it's great. Okay, they don't have this. They don't have that. Who's going to call them on it? When you got one guy in the office, colored orange, calling the shots, telling them, don't worry, if you get jammed up, I'll get you out.
Well, the people, my thing is, Mark, that the people should know. I agree that they're going to do it regardless, and they got the orange menace backing them. But the public doesn't realize they can't do what they're doing. But even they're going to be able to stop it, but at least know it. At least know that they are breaking their own policy and the law in many cases. Just know it. And the news media, if the news media reports all this stuff, and do they have like a caveat? And by the way, they're not allowed to do that? No, and I don't expect them to do it. But somewhere along the line, the public has got to realize that ICE has crossed over 1,000 different barriers, and they're breaking all their own rules and laws. And, my thing is, I want people just to know it. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to all end. I know what I'd like to see. But right now, people are even unaware.
Even the press, and I know, if Lieutenant Jim was running his police department when he was working his tour that way, the press would have even jumped on you. You would have had to answer to everybody. Everybody. Any chief would have to answer to anybody. These guys ain't got to answer to nobody. And you know why? And it goes back to what I believe what Will said. People decided to stay home and not vote.
Yep. And there's a cost to it, and we're all paying for it. I would like to say, first of all, thank you for a healthy discussion. We told you up front, we don't always agree. And you can see that today, we don't always agree. But I will still say this, that I'd rather do something than do nothing. That's where I am today. Now, and I'll also say this, I haven't always been there. So let me just put that out there too. I haven't always been there, but I am there now though. And that's all I can talk about is now. I can't talk about what I would have, but I am there now. And I just believe that, and as you guys were talking, you have the one, my wife would tell you, there's many people that don't like Al Sharpton. I do. I do because he stands up for everything. I mean, he may be at a whole lot of different places, but he's always speaking up and speaking out. And I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. So my thing is that, listen, don't just and I don't think Mark said that. So that's why I said, Mark, I'm not talking about what you said. I'm talking about what Will said, because I didn't hear you say that we don't do nothing. I didn't hear that from your mouth. I was just saying, well, Will was talking about what we do. And that's why I was more leaning towards Will, because Will was talking about, no, you do. I did. He counted the cost, which is one of our sermons, one of the scriptures will talk about count the cost before you build a house. You don't build a house not knowing how much it's going to cost to build this house. Then in the middle of building the house, you can't even finish it. No, you count the cost. Because Will said, he pretty much said, I counted the cost, and it's a great possibility I'm going to get fired. Great possibility I'm not going to have a job after this conversation. But he didn't, but he had the opportunity for another one. So I look at all that stuff, and please, people, just understand that if you're sitting around and you're not saying nothing, you're part of the problem. I just have to put that out there. If you're not saying nothing, you're part of the problem. And we are here. We're live. We're on the air. Everybody here, when we gotta say, we are saying something. We may be saying a couple of different things here and there, but we are still speaking out against injustice.
Absolutely.
Every person on here. If there was a person on here that agreed with this injustice, you probably would have saw them like years ago and wouldn't even see them no more. Some of them are not here anymore, but it's not because of that reason. But I'm just saying that we would have gotten rid of them. I'm telling you that right now. Like, you can't. Well, no, I can't say that. Okay. But thank you guys so much. Anybody else before we close it out? Those on Facebook Live, thank you so much. Beverly Wells says, very informative discussion today. I think I'm with you, Ms. Beverly Wells, and not just because I'm a part of it, but I was sitting back, I had someone else host. I was sitting back just listening to the conversation. I'm listening to passion. I got to say this because I told my wife, I said, I've heard a lot of sermons this week. Some of them was some of the best. One of them was one of the best sermons I've ever heard in my life. But I'm more interested. I watch how people present their message. and if there's any, if are they excited about it, about what they're doing? Not really the performance of preaching, but just like you can see someone giving their whole heart and doing certain things. I'm impressed with that. When I look at a drummer, that drummer doing the best he can do, maybe it don't sound the best, but he's doing the best. I'm impressed with him doing his best. So even as us, we need to just make sure that we're not quiet on things that that affect us and may not even affect us personally, but it can affect your family, your children, your grandchildren. You know, you don't want to be sitting there being quiet on that stuff. And we were always told as a preacher, always keep your prophetic edge. You know, the world's gonna want something, but you're gonna have to stand with God even when the world's against it. And y'all know how I feel about certain stuff, and we ain't gonna talk about that right now. But thank you guys so much. Facebook Live, thank you so much for joining us. Those on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. D, as always, thank you. You didn't have to do a whole lot of videos. I didn't think we were gonna get past that one. I thought maybe two, but you listen, that was healthy conversation for me. And I really appreciate all views. I really do. I appreciate all views. And I think it was very healthy. Again, anybody before we go? All right, let us pray. God our Father, we thank you again for allowing us to come together. We pray to God that something's been said that has given us a better understanding of this life, of the life that we're living in and the times that we're living in. And you always told us that it's going to get worse before it gets better. So we're praying now to God for every person on the sound of my voice, every home is represented, those on Facebook Live, those on YouTube, those who watched us live, and those who will watch us later. We pray to God you will watch over their families, keep us from all hurt, harm, and danger. And we know, dear God, that no matter who's in charge of this land, that you're in charge of all of it. We thank you. We praise you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Amen.